Hello and welcome back. As always, I thank you for tuning in and, well, for doing exactly what you're doing, paying attention to the message of the Holy Spirit. All right. It's very important. It is. The world is a giant ball of chaos all the time, and it appears to be especially true these days. But it's important that you are doing what you're doing because the more of us that are willing to listen to the guidance of our inner teacher, the better. So let me just say that if you're new or newer to this course, or even if you're a long time student, it's worth pointing out that A Course in Miracles is not about making changes in the world. It is not about toppling political regimes. It is not about augmenting a political regime. It is not about making more money or getting a better house or a better car or a different job or career or a different shirt or anything that appears to be happening in this world of form. It's not about that. Rather, it's about changing our mind. That. That's what it is about. And in giving this course, in dictating this course, Jesus is addressing our mind that appears split. It appears to be torn and in deep conflict, which explains all of the conflict that we perceive in the world. It is a conflict in our mind. The world is simply an outward looking or an outward facing picture of an inward condition. So let's put it very simply. The mind is projecting the world. You heard that right. The mind is projecting the world, including all bodies that appear to be in it, including what looks like one right here, all of it. Yes, it's that powerful. So maybe this will help to begin to give you some idea of the magnitude. This is closest we can come in words, really, pretty much. The magnitude and the power of changing our mind. And what any of us can do while we appear to be here is just, first off, allow that message to sink in as far as it can today. As far as we let it, yeah, I mean, it is that, as far as we allow it to. Because as you well know and have heard, doubtless, countless times, spirituality is about allowing. Well, I mean, it is. There are things that we proactively do in the mind, but a very large part of it is allowing truth to be just as it is. And if you've had glimpses of this, you've got some direct experience. You know what we're referring to here. So let's address something that comes up for us all of the time. and it is covered in many different places in A Course in Miracles. And it's this desire that we have, this wish that seems so ingrained and instinctive for us to do what the Course calls keeping certain problems to ourselves and formulating the wish, the demand, that we solve them by ourselves. So, what are we talking about here? Well, we're perfectly willing to forgive just about everybody sometimes, but we want to do something that holds us back. And you know it holds us back. We want to reserve our little special forms of hatred for some people. Maybe it's just for one person in your case, or maybe it's for a group of people, a political party, for example, their followers, for another example, or maybe it is your boss at work. Maybe it is your corporate leadership or something. Maybe it's your neighbor. I mean, maybe literally, maybe it's your next door neighbor. And maybe it's your nation state next door neighbor. Oh, whatever that may look like, it's all the same thing. Those are all differences in outward form. The real heart of the matter, the content, as the Course calls it, is exactly the same. We don't want to forgive totally. And we're told here, we're shown that forgiveness is either total or it's not at all. So we cannot keep our secret little forms of hatred. And they may not be so secret, but sometimes we're so ashamed of our guilt and we so want to identify with it and cling to it that we hide it from the world and we attempt to hide it from ourselves. But here's something we must all realize: we can't hide it. An attempt to project it onto somebody else, some other group of people, it's their fault. It's the government's fault. It's our neighboring nation state's fault. All of those attempts at projecting don't get rid of the conflict. They don't get rid of the thought of separation. Why? Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. In other words, as famously stated throughout the Course, ideas leave not their source. If you haven't heard that before, you will hear it again right now, and many, many other times. You will no longer be able to unhear it. You're welcome. Ideas leave not their source. Ideas leave not their source. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. Any attempt to project your own guilt and fear and rage does not work. That thought remains in the mind of the thinker. That's why we can try to demonize and, well, lash out at people, thinking that we're solving the problem, but we're really not, because the same feelings of guilt and inadequacy and fear arise, and we want to demonize someone else this time. Because demonizing this group of people here didn't work out for us. It didn't bring us the peace of God. Gee, I wonder why. Attacking doesn't bring us the peace of God. How could it? It's not peace. Hatred is not love. Love is total and all encompassing. Our forgiveness, therefore, must be total, total, and all encompassing. Do we wish to do this right now? Well, you may be thinking, no, I don't really. I don't know if I can. And that is a perfectly valid thing to have. popping up in your mind here on the spiritual path. Perfectly valid indeed. That's why this conversation is necessary. And honestly, it's why it appears to be happening because, well, this is going to involve something uncomfortable. I know. Bringing all of your darkness, all these little secret little hates and disdains to light. All of them. All of them. Without exception. Now, here's the thing. Remember, we said a few minutes ago, this course is not about effecting change in the world that we appear to see. It is not about changing a regime. It's not. It's not about affecting change in our own households or anything like that. It's about changing our mind. So people sometimes think, well, I mean, if this is a dream, why should I care? Why bother what goes on in this if it's just a dream? Well, we all have a responsibility here. There are people out there that will respond best to the message of the Holy Spirit through you, not through me, through you. Will you extend love to them? Will you reach your brother or will you keep him in hell? Because the Course makes it pretty clear that this supposed separation from God, this condition that we appear to find ourselves in, is hell. And it feels pretty intense right now, doesn't it? So it's about changing our mind. Now, what happens when we change our mind? Well, even though the Course is not about effecting change on the world of form, what is likely to happen when you actually are more loving? I mean, you tell me, right? What's more likely to happen when you forgive totally? People are much more likely to respond to you in a positive manner. It's like walking down the street, smiling at people and extending love to them in your mind, even if you don't say anything to them. They get it, they feel it. We're not slow. We want to make ourselves real slow sometimes and hide, but we're not slow. You're not slow. You will awaken. May not feel like it right now. It's coming. Stick around. Stick around. What's going to happen? If you're positive and loving, people will be more kindly disposed to you. On the other hand, if you walk down the street exuding hatred and fear and rage with a scowl on your face, you don't even have to say anything nasty to somebody for them to take one look at you and walk away, at best. At worst, they're going to confront you. But at best, they won't want to be near you. So, I mean, really, what do you think is likely when you begin to forgive? I mean, and really, truly do it. I mean, again, the changes in the world are not the point. The point is to change our mind and begin to see things very differently. You'll begin to see the world very differently indeed. And how about those people that you're meant to reach? Exactly. So, because the Course isn't about the world of form, it's about our mind, you will as you practice opening yourself to the guidance of the Holy Spirit and taking the Holy Spirit's guidance and doing as it suggests that you do, you may find that you're doing things in the world that, well, surprise you. It's not about the change on the level of form. However, if you need to, you can, frankly, kick ass in the world if you are called and need to. For example, what if you legitimately have to protect yourself or somebody else and you're called to do so? Exactly. So it doesn't mean that we roll over and play dead. What's important is we're following the guidance of the Holy Spirit, whatever that may look like. Again, the outward form varies. There are 8 billion plus of us, so it appears. The outward form varies. The content of what we're really doing is exactly the same. Anything that's not wholly joyous is an opportunity to forgive. Bring all of your supposed problems, troubles, cares, and concerns to the Holy Spirit, all of them. All your judgment, bring it to the Holy Spirit. Your fear, bring it to the Holy Spirit. Your worries about the state of affairs on spinning ball of rock, bring them all to the Holy Spirit for forgiveness and release, for resolution of the conflict in your mind. You will be instructed as to what to do, as to whom to speak to, where to go, if anywhere, what to say. You will be instructed. The Holy Spirit's not outside you, by the way. So, in appealing to the guidance of our inner teacher, we're appealing to a part of our mind, inner, emphasis on inner, within, built in. It's a built in guidance system, accessible but for the asking. You're going to ask for the Holy Spirit's guidance today? The more of us that do, the better. All right. So, nobody ever said this was dull. This series of videos, of course, talks about A Course in Miracles, what it says, and what it really means, what it means. The Course is completely uncompromising. Therefore, this video series is completely uncompromising. You deserve nothing less. So, quite naturally, not everybody appears to be in a position where they're ready to accept truth just as it is, where they're ready to resign as their own teacher, as we're invited to do, and follow the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Not everyone appears to be ready to do that. So what? So what? You're here. That is what really matters, is what you're willing to let go of in your mind today. So I'm here to support you and to serve as a guide. And most importantly, we all have the guidance of our inner teacher, which I would appeal to first and foremost. Now, he may say, okay, watch this video to the end. He may invite you to watch another video on this or any other channel, or to pick up some of the excellent material and commentary that exists about A Course in Miracles. And wildness of all wildness, he may prompt you to pick up the book itself and delve into it. Ooh, is it just sitting on your shelf? Pretty common. I've got several friends that have had a copy of A Course in Miracles sitting on a shelf for many years, speaking to them. Are you watching? You know who you are. Hmm? Who knows what you may be called to do, but we follow the guidance of our inner teacher. And if I can be of any help to you along the way, I'm more than happy to do that. So if you have questions, please feel welcome to leave them here. This is an excellent place to have questions answered. And if it is something that's too lengthy to type out in the comments, what I'll simply do is record an entire conversation or more than one about it. This is something that we've done before. It's very impactful because this is a global community. It's a growing community and it is worldwide. So I thank you all for joining here. And if you have not yet joined us, that's the subscription prompt in the corner of your screen. Click that icon right there. That one, yeah. You'll be invited to subscribe and join us. And again, please ask questions if you have them. And yeah, remember, it's not about what appears to happen on the world of form. It's about what is happening in our mind, which is projecting the world of form. So you know what happens when you change your mind. All right. Thank you for joining.